And we had question from Reggie and Soul Emperor about the ETA, which is a new fee that you have to pay when entering New Zealand.
Yes.
And Laura actually did write a full guide about this and what to know about the ETA right now, because it's actually going to impact every single one of your trips starting when? In September, right?
October, yeah.
Right. So for anyone that is going to be traveling in New Zealand in October, there is going to be an ETA to pay, which is basically a fee. So I'm going to read that, and we're going to be talking about it for quite a while, just because it's new and it's very important you guys know about that. And Laura is well versed on the subject.
All right.
All right. So I'm going to read Soul Emperor's question. So Soul Emperor says, we are going to New Zealand in September. Do you think that I need to get a new electronic travel authority ETA as described in the immigration website? So the immigration website describes the ETA and it's kicking into gear in October. But let's talk about it and let's see what it is.
All right. So the New Zealand ETA is basically this. It's a new basically an electronic like fee you have to pay if you are visiting New Zealand, only on certain conditions. So if you are on a visitor, if you're visiting New Zealand as a visitor from one of the visa waiver countries, which are basically the countries that you don't need to actually physically apply for a visa for. And this is really a lot of countries, and we do list every single country on BackpackerGuide.NZ on our NZ ETA article.
And we will list them in a little bit later in this video.
Yeah.
We're just going to give you some information first.
So if you are from one of these countries, which is most people traveling to New Zealand, then you will have to pay this extra fee for coming into New Zealand. And not only is it a New Zealand ETA, but there's also a visitor levy as well.
So a levy is a fee, something to pay, like some money to pay to enter the country.
Yeah. So so the good thing is that it doesn't kick in until October. So if you are arriving in New Zealand and any time prior to that, you don't need to worry about it whatsoever. But if you are landing in New Zealand after October the 1st or on October the 1st on onwards, then you will need to have made sure that this New Zealand ETA has been paid for even before you board your plane or your cruise to New Zealand. If you don't have this ETA purchased, then it's likely that you won't be able to actually board your flight, and you may be given the opportunity, if you haven't bought it before, you may be given the opportunity to actually buy it on the spot when you arrive at the airport, but there's no guarantee that it'll be processed in time for your flight. And basically, all in all, it's definitely something that you need to organize before you travel to New Zealand. Okay, so the way to actually get this this NZ ETA is to actually, on the website, on the Immigration New Zealand website, there is going to be a page it's not up right yet because it's actually not in effect just yet, but it will be there soon. There'll be a page on the New Zealand immigration website so that you can actually pay for this levy. Alternatively, there's going to be a mobile app. Again, it's not out yet, but if you go on the Immigration New Zealand website and search for the NZ ETA, there will be the option to download an app so that you can actually pay for it and get it processed through there. So luckily, it's not way too expensive.
So how much does the ETA, or how much is the levy? What is the fee?
Yeah, what
does it cost?
Okay, so it depends on what method you use to purchase it. So if you purchase it through the mobile app, it only costs around $9 New Zealand dollars. If you purchase it through the website, the Immigration New Zealand website form, then it costs around 12 New Zealand dollars. And then on top of that, so that's just for the NZ
that's for the
ETA.
visa itself?
Yeah. And then you will have to pay an extra fee on top of that for the IVL, which is the visitor levy. And that is around 35 New Zealand dollars. And that's also charged at the same time, basically, as you use the mobile app or
So it would be 9 plus 35 or 12 plus 35 plus 35 on that. So now, while Laura is gathering her thoughts quickly, I'm just going to go over every country that is affected by these visas. So I'm going to go quite fast and I'm going to go through different regions. So in Europe, Andorra, Austria, Belgium, Bulgaria, Croatia, Cyprus, Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Hungary, Ireland, Italy, Iceland, Latvia, Liechtenstein, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Malta, Monaco, Netherlands, Norway, Poland, Portugal, Romania, San Marino, Slovak Republic, Slovenia, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, United Kingdom, and Vatican City. In North America, that's Canada and the United States of America. In South America, that's Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Mexico, Uruguay. In the Middle East, it's Bahrain, Israel, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and United Arab Emirates. In Asia, it's Brunei, South Korea, Hong Kong, Japan, Macau, Malaysia, Singapore, and Taiwan. And in Africa, it's South Africa, Seychelles, and Mauritius. So that's all the countries which are on the visa waiver list and that will therefore be subject to this ETA and this IVL. So IVL is International Visitor Levy. So that's the $9 plus 35 or $12 plus 35.
Yeah. Okay. So that's for the visit. For if you're on a visitor, basically you're coming to New Zealand as a visitor. But this NZ ETA also applies to people that are transiting in New Zealand if they're from a transit waiver country, and that's a whole different list of countries. Usually people that come from sort of the South Pacific Islands or basically Pacific Rim countries, basically countries that would have a lot of connections, like flying, basically having to connect in New Zealand in order to fly back home or something. That's the countries that would also need to pay for that, for this NZ ETA. Again, we have a list of all those countries on the article, which we will be linking up to in the description below.
Now, if you're from a country which is not on this list as well, some other countries, like someone is asking right now, what about Baghdad, which is Iraq? Well, at that point, you actually need to apply for a visitor visa, and then therefore there is a fee there, and it's a different process. Those are for the visa waiver country where you don't necessarily have to apply for a visa.
Yeah, and one more group of people that do need to also pay for the NZ ETA are permanent residents of Australia. Okay, so just if you're wondering why this has sort of come into effect, like why do you all of a sudden need to pay
what do you have to pay to come to New Zealand?
I do have a quote from Immigration New Zealand to say why this has actually come into effect. So if you are interested, the NZ ETA is to improve the way travellers are assessed before they arrive in New Zealand and help reduce the time needed for border clearance and strengthen border security. And the IVL, which is the International Visitor Levy, is said to be a way for travellers to contribute directly to the tourism infrastructure they use and to help protect and enhance the natural environment. So that's basically what the fees are for. And one final thing to mention about both the NZ ETA and the IVL is that basically how long are they valid for? Do you have to pay for it every time you visit New Zealand? Maybe if you come to New Zealand quite often. And the good thing about that is you don't actually have to pay for it every single time. It is valid for, I think, 2 years. Yeah, it's valid for up to 2 years. So you only have to pay for it once, and then it's valid for the whole, within the 2 years basically that you buy it from. So yeah.
All right. So if you do guys have any extra questions, make sure to put them in the description below. And if you're coming to New Zealand before October 2019, no need to panic. This doesn't apply to you. Again, like and subscribe. That's always help us out a lot. Let's go back to the live chat.